It's easy to miss this classic western town in the middle of Wyoming. We almost did, but we were hungry. It is a Wild West town, rich in history. I'm glad we stopped, and I did a little research to find out what I could about this town that was rather unknown to me, quite unknown. So it opened my eyes to some really important Western history that all revolves around this quiet little town of less than 300 people. In the early 1800s, John Bozeman started his trail right there, Powder River Crossing. Well, John Bozeman wasn't really well accepted for what he was doing because he was going through sacred Indian grounds and caused a lot of problems in the area. And that was a significant point of history here in Kaycee. Now, the name itself, Kaycee, comes from the earliest rancher whose brand was KC. And the post office, when it was established, said that they needed to spell it out, which is why Kaycee is named Kaycee, Kaycee for that brand. So here we're rolling into town. It's fairly early in the morning. We're looking for a place to eat breakfast and thought we'd check this town. It's a very nice, well-kept town. There's a gas station, a couple of restaurants, a bar, old hotel. Looks like there's a Mormon church there and a couple other churches. But it's a very clean town, small town, like I said earlier, less than 300 people. And in my research, I found it's very nice place to live. Virtually no crime. Well, it sits out in the middle of nowhere. Now here on the right is a very important museum, which I wish I had time. It wasn't open when we were there, but looks like a great museum to visit. And you can learn a lot more history there. Also, I have links in the description because I learned so much afterwards. I'll put those links in the description if you want to follow up and learn more about just this brief overview that I'm giving you. I think you'll find it very interesting. So here we are going over the Powder River again. And we just go down a little bit more, turn around, and this is what you see of the main street here. Now, there's a lot of history associated with this town. It sits in Johnson County, and you may have heard of the Johnson War, which was between local ranchers and the established larger ranchers. It was quite a big war, and these two gentlemen were killed in that war. They were in the first log cabin for the cattle ranchers, and Nick was killed instantly as the shootout began, and Ray managed to escape, and he carried with him his diary, and that's how the story was actually revealed. His diary was found later, and he wrote in the last pages, he said, "This may be my last entry as I am surrounded and running." So it's a rather important point of history, and here you can just imagine the wagon trains, and they do have wagon train rides where you can go out to these red rocks. Those red rocks are really significant too, which I learned about, and I'll mention those again later on. But right here is the Chris Ledoux statue, famous rodeo and singer from Kaycee. So they have a nice monument in there recognizing him. Now we're just continuing on up through Main Street, and I'm just showing you the other side. There's some historic old bar we just passed. There are a few homes for sale, And this is a historic hotel too, Cassidy. And of course, this was also the setting for Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid as they hid out in those red rocks. You might recall Hole in the Wall, and that is significant because that takes place out there in those red rocks. And I'd love to have gotten more pictures of that. And there's the restaurant we were going to eat in, but unfortunately we couldn't get in there. But I have a little clip there on the inside of the restaurant. It's a really lovely little western town, like how you would imagine them to be. It hasn't gotten recognized or overflowing with the Californians, as so many towns have changed their character with the influx of the California migration east. Anyway, then back here is the information center. This is right when you come into town, and I believe this cabin was moved in. It's been refaced and fixed up, but it was the oldest building in Kaycee. It was closed also as we were there. Well, I almost wasn't going to put this video out because I didn't really get the hot spots and I didn't have the knowledge. And I wish I'd had more footage, but I decided, well, I'll just go ahead and put what I have, and that way it might just tease some interest and cause people to learn more about this really important part of history here. And you know, the thing is, it's not that history that's not that long ago, but it was the Wild West out here. And there was a lot of events that happened just in those red rocks that I am so fond of. It's a very interesting geological formation. There's a link in there if you want to learn more about it. But that was the last place that the Lakota and the Cheyenne Indians were able to live until the government took away their lifestyle. But they lived down there in those red rocks. It's actually called Redwall Country, and there's a link in the description about that. They've actually found a civilization over 10,000 years old in that area. Like he's a good traveler. He puts up with a lot, and he just kind of hangs right in there. Does his thing. Okay, here's one last little drive around. We aren't eating here because the waitress just informed us that it would be a 45-minute wait because there's 12 people ahead of us. So we will go up to the next town, Buffalo, which is 45 miles away.